What's up guys, Bird here, and CJI 2 just went down the other day. Not everybody has enough time to watch almost 13 hours of jiu-jitsu, and some of us just don't like watching tournaments at all. Unfortunately, I fall into both of these categories, but the stars somehow magically aligned, so I somehow ended up watching all of CJI 2. First up, this format is obviously very different from last year, so I'll cover the rules and style real quick. We have 8 teams, New Wave versus Team Americas, B Team versus Daisy Fresh, 10th Planet versus Australasia, and finally, Atos versus Team Europe. They are 5-man teams, 1 for each weight class, starting at 66 kilograms. It's a modified sub-only rule set. If you get the sub, you stay in to fight the next opponent. 8-minute rounds, but if they go the distance, both are eliminated. 3 judges are recording the match MMA style with an out of 10 score system. If a team has a member standing in the end, they win. If all members of both teams are eliminated, they go by the total score of the judges to decide the winning team. If tied on the scoreboards, the team whose athlete won the final bout wins. Remember this precious nugget for later. Alright. With that out of the way, first team up to bat is New Wave versus Team Americas. You have Pat Downey versus Luke Griffin. We have almost 40 matches to go over, so my coverage of all the matches will be fairly brief. The more exciting the match, the more I will cover. Alright, Luke quickly pulls and gets a smooth butterfly sweep into a back chase, which ultimately ends up with a failed reverse triangle. In this match, Luke was throwing triangles out all over the place. The closest looks like it got pretty tight, but Pat managed to defend then stall out the rest of the match. The refs gave him a verbal warning for this, but the match still ended in a draw, which made it the first double elimination of the night. Spoiler, there's a lot more where that comes from. Match 2 is the fucking tank Wagner Rocha versus Elijah Dorsey. The most significant thing that happens in this one was Wagner somehow losing a fucking tooth. The match consists of Elijah jumping guard, spending the majority of his time with Wagner passing from his knees. At one point, Elijah wrestled up, Wagner defends this with the Kimura trap, and Elijah escapes and tries to drop on the legs. The match ends with another double elimination. Next up is Giancarlo versus Gavin Corby. I actually had some fun matches with Gavin back in the Blue Belt days, so let's fucking go Gavin. Giancarlo bullies Gavin into the wall and just hunts him down. After Giancarlo let Gavin know that size does matter, Gavin collects himself pretty damn well with his footlock game. Giancarlo escapes, gets through half guard, and jumps to the back, taking the first sub of CJI 2 with the rear naked choke. And with that, Giancarlo stays on the mat to fight Taylor Pierman. In total, they get about 90 seconds of rest before the match starts. Giancarlo pulls, Taylor falls back on the legs, and Giancarlo escapes and comes up. This basically repeats for the majority of the match until Taylor successfully pulls Giancarlo in with a false reap, which leads into a full reap. While cranking on that heel, Giancarlo fucks up and lands our first true controversy of the night. This sucks for everybody. It both looks like a tap and doesn't make sense for it to be a tap. So if there's $1 million on the line, let's add more than one ref so they see different angles maybe? Or maybe just rip it off next time if you can. Taylor stays on the mat to once again fight. New Wave sends out the Energizer Bunny, Dorian Olivares. Taylor pulls and Dorian is unrelenting with his passing. Taylor gets an early arm lock attempt, but Dorian gets out, and at 4 minutes left, he lets Taylor know exactly how he felt about it. The last 4 minutes is a brutal punishment session with Dorian constantly threatening submissions while moving from knee on belly, side control, north-south, to mount. Taylor survives the time, and it ends up in another double elimination. Next up, we got Mika Gavallo versus Gavin's older brother, DeAndre Corby. They start standing and DeAndre snaps Mika down. Mika scoops the leg and ends up on top. DeAndre does good with a heel hook attempt, but most of the match was Mika giving up positions to dive on subs. None of them panned out, and it too ends up in a double elimination. With all competitors of both teams being eliminated, the judges give New Wave the win based off the sum total of all 5 matches. After that, Giancarlo got pulled out for a quick interview, and just listen to this.
I think everybody in the arena knows that that wasn't a tap out if you just look at it. But
this is one of the many times the crowd is just wrong in their booing. Giancarlo doesn't say anything for like 10 seconds, but can you blame him? I've never experienced what he probably felt in that moment, but I know it had to suck. For round 2, we have Team Atos versus Team Europe, with Lucas Barbosa and Paolo Jarowski being the first to duke it out. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any names, but Paolo pulls and the entire match is just Hulk running into the wall that is Paolo's guard. Nothing really happens until the last 30 seconds, where Paolo goes for a knee bar. Match ends, and once again, double elimination. From there, we move to Ronaldo Jr. versus Charles Negromonte. 4 minutes of hand-holding goes by. The ref tells them to cut the mercy grip shit out and do something, and then Charles gets eye-poked. Ronaldo pulls into a single leg X ankle lock with a laying hook, but it goes nowhere and they end up both standing up shortly after. Charles gets in on a body lock, which Ronaldo does a good job defending. At 30 seconds left, Charles thought it would be a smart idea to provoke Ronaldo, and promptly gets taken down for it. So yeah, stupid games, stupid prizes I guess. Match ends in a double elimination, like always. Moving forward, we have the giant Kanyan Duarte versus Owen Jones. In a clear case of be careful what you ask for, Owens finally gets to feel the meaty clubs of Duarte after being physically shoved to the ground. Owens holds his own, forcing the ref to reset the match and tell Duarte to become active. His response? To once again come in heavy, forcing Owen to pull. He might not have tapped the Giant, but Owens spared his teammates from having to face the big man. Both are eliminated. Again. On deck was Felipe Pena versus Machine. Yeah, I'm not pronouncing that. I'm sorry, No. After being called for inappropriate use of head, Machine jumps guard and falls down to attack the legs. Felipe clears the ankle lock and eventually passes. He truly tries in this match to get a submission, but he's unable to finish the Dars. He then transitions into Kimuras and armbars, but Machines manages to get on top near the end. For the millionth time, double elimination. After that comes Diego Pato versus Paul Ardilla. Pato pulls off the bat, but this match was a contender for the most boring match of the tournament. At 3 minutes left, Paul gets a warning for stalling, and it's just double elimination. That's all I got. Atos gets the win in this team battle, but wow, this was getting hard to get through at times. Moving on, we have 10th Planet versus Team Australia Asia. Whoever was running this forgot to put up the tail of tape, so we have PJ Barch versus Lucas Kennard. And if the last match was the boring one, this match is the one you would want to skip altogether. This match was a wet dream for someone with a foot fetish though. The entirety of the 8 minutes is spent tickling each other's toes. I like ankle locks, but wow, both of you, get out of here. Double elimination. Thankfully, up next is Ryan Aiken versus Declan Moody. Ryan quickly pulls guard, which leads to him wrestling up on Moody, taking him down for a couple seconds. A short while later, pulls again, chasing leg locks. Declan counters with a bolo and comes up, leading to a pass shortly after. Ryan tries to free himself by turtling and standing and fending off the following back chase. With his newfound freedom, he launches Moody into the pit. After a while of staying on top, Ryan steps over to chase the leg. To reward his decision, Declan immediately passes him again. The match ends in a brutal tap. I'm just kidding. Another fucking double elimination. Please, make it stop. Alan Sanchez versus Fabricio Andre. This was actually a pretty fun match to watch. Alan had an active guard while Fabricio kept the forward pressure. At the start, Alan kicked over for an armbar, but Fabricio countered with a near pass and a headlock shortly after. Alan tried to copy Miko with the scooping the leg, but ended up facing a lot more trouble than he did, ultimately ending with him in a crucifix. Fabricio uses it to transition to a full mount, then into a back chase, and then suddenly to being on bottom. A bit later, Fabricio sweeps him back over, they both stand, and Fabricio adds to his highlight reel with a slick ankle pick, followed by a seated duck into a back chase. It was a fun match, but of course, double elimination. Maybe we'll see a sub in the next one. Gio Martinez versus Balil Itabari. Balil starts off by sliding into the ring. Gio looks like he half-dived the pass and half-dived to chase after the legs. Either way, Balil quickly puts Gio in a knee bar, which leads to a very tight-looking ankle lock. This hurt to watch. Gio said this was going to be his last tournament, and fuck me, this looks painful. Balil ends up with a belly down, and now we see our second major controversy. From this camera angle, which is where the ref was, wow, yeah, you tapped. And then you look at this angle, it's like, okay, yeah, that sucks. What is it? Half the taps in this fucking comp has basically been unintentional taps? Really? Well, Balil stays, and he's up against Kyle Boehm now. Balil once again pulls, attempting to get a quick tap with another leg entanglement. Kyle counters by attacking the heel himself, and a few rolls later...
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Unfortunately, Kyle broke Balil's foot there, taking him out of the rest of the comp even if his team wins this round. Kyle the Footbreaker stays to fight Kenta Iwamoto. Kyle pulls guard, and it takes Kenta a little bit, but eventually he forces Kyle to turtle. From there, Kyle rolls out and Kenta comes up with a leg drag. After trapping both legs, Kenta loses the mount attempt from Kyle pushing him off. Kyle later accidentally kicks Kenta in the face and gets a scolding from the ref. After that, Kenta then gets one final nasty foot trip. No sub on this one, so a double elimination. Team Australia Asia gets the W even though they are now a man down. Afterwards, Gio gets pulled aside for an interview, and I think he handles the situation pretty damn well. Have a listen.
You said that this would be your last tournament. What are the emotions right now?
I was super grateful to be here, still super grateful to be here. Like, if you know who I am, I would have let my foot break, no matter what. You know what I mean? I would have let my foot break. He's a solid leg locker. I tried to reach back, lost my balance a little bit. When I look at the footage, I can see why, maybe the ref thought I tapped, but, I would have let my leg broke, for real. You guys seen that before. You know who I am, but I appreciate everyone for coming by and supporting. I love this shit. I love this game. I love this life, and freaks don't sleep.
Gio, we love you, and I hope you enjoy your retirement. For our final matchup of the night, at least for the team fights, we have B Team versus Daisy Fresh. I haven't mentioned any of the coaches walking out, but due to Heath's recent injuries, he walks out like a fucking pirate. It's actually a pretty badass entry. I love seeing Nikki Ryan walk out rocking the fanny pack immediately after, giving the whole sup vibe. Anyways, first up is Max Hansen versus Joseph Chen. Max pulls guard at the start, and 6 minutes in, Joseph finally manages to pass and work his way all the way to mount. Max utilizes the pit though to escape, but this ends up leading to a double elimination. Next up is Nikki Rodriguez versus Brandon Reed. Nikki Rod switches between pulling guard and wrestling multiple times in the first few minutes. Brandon goes for a diving knee slice and switches into double unders. While dangerous, Nikki Rod pushes him away and goes back to standing. This tempo continues for a few minutes until Nikki grabs a single leg from semi-seated. This quickly turns into a full back chase, which leads into a full rear naked choke. Nikki gets his 90 seconds while Michael Pixley comes out dead set on getting Daisy Fresh out of this hole. Right out the gate, Pixley hits a slide-by trip with Pixley jumping on the head. Nikki escapes the Darce and pulls guard. Pixley once again spikes him into a headlock. A minute goes by and Nikki gets out. After a little while of defending passes from Pixley, Nikki tries to wrestle up and gets put back down. A lot happens in this match. Like another wrestle up attempt leads to a headlock and ankle pick. Nikki seems to not care much at all about the headlocks and is content to ride this one out. Nikki baits some single legs which Pixley chooses not to engage. Pixley gets scolded by the ref for pushing Nikki away rather than truly engaging. Pixley then goes on to throw Nikki by towards the pit walls but doesn't try to capitalize on it. This match ends in a double elimination. Up next is Chris Rojic versus Jacob Couch. Starting with a double guard pull with Couch coming up, Couch tries to isolate a leg and drop into leg attacks. Chris gets his leg out, and Couch tries again, this time having more success in getting what looks like a tight ankle lock. After a fair amount of cranking, Chris once again escapes. Couch tries the same thing again. Chris must be getting sick of his feet getting touched this much and ends up coming up instead. The rest of the match is either Couch going for the feet, or Chris staying in top half guard. Double elimination. Last up for the Daisy Fresh crew is Dante Leon versus Victor fucking Hugo. Dante pulls and Victor eats a knee to the face. Not much happens in this fight. Dante is stuck dealing with Hugo's pressure, and Hugo is stuck dealing with Dante's guard. Match ends with a double elimination, leaving B Team the winners of this bout, as they still had one opponent left on the bench. In the words of Nikki Ryan, they are the only team to have a member not have to fight. While this might be it for the quintet today, as the semifinals are scheduled for the next, that doesn't mean CJI Day 1 is over. Craig Jones has made history in another manner this day, as he held the highest paying women's reward ever, $100,000 for the winner. On one side of the bracket is Helena Cravar versus Adela Fornino, and the other side is Ana Carolina versus Sarah Galvalo, the daughter of Atos leader Andre Galvalo. This bracket is the same rule set as previous CGI year, 3 rounds, 5-minute matches. A tap at any time grants you the win. On a draw, we go to the judges as previously seen. So first up, we have Helena Cravar versus Adela Fornino. In round 1, Adele pulls guard. Helena goes in to pass and gets into full guard. Adele goes for a mirror lock. Helena pushes her off and goes back to passing. A few minutes of this later, Helena attacks the leg. It ends up looking fairly tight, but Adele manages to get out. I'm pretty sad I can't use the audio from this match because Adele's coach is constantly saying, "Good girl, beautiful." And it was really throwing me off watching this. Round 2 is pretty much the same until 2 minutes in, Adele goes for an omoplata but ends up back on bottom. Helena goes for leg attacks, but Adele gets free. It's fun to note that at this time, complaints were being made about her hair getting in the way of everything. Adele goes for another arm lock, but Helena gets free of that and counters with more leg lock attempts. Round 3 starts with Adele once again pulling guard, but this time Helena having her hair in a ponytail. This doesn't stop it from getting in Adele's face, but hey, attempts was made. This match is more passing into leg lock attempts. I'm not showing them all here as they ended up all being virtually the same, but with 3 minutes remaining of the final round, Adele snatches an arm and attempts to kick over. This one looks a lot tighter than the rest, but Helena manages to escape as it extends and instantly switch into a footlock herself. The match ends with Helena getting the overall higher score based off the 3 rounds. She makes it to the CGI Women's Finals. Next up is Ana Carolina Vieira versus Sarah Galvalo. Sarah pulls aggressively, off-balancing Ana. Ana follows up with a deep stack pass, forcing Sarah to turtle and face a front headlock game. The moment she gets free, Ana just puts her right back in. As Ana pulls to try and finish this, Sarah deftly jumps past the guard, forcing Ana to release and recover her own guard. As the match progresses, Sarah's balance helps her stave off Ana's legwork from bottom. Eventually, Ana does come up with a sweep, but it's countered with a sweep of her own. Sarah goes for a front headlock, but is taken down. Round 2 starts off with a bit of the pit wall usage. Nothing comes of it, but it's still fun to see something like that in Jiu-Jitsu. A bit later, Sarah pushes Ana to the wall again, but this time with a nice throw off of it, landing in north-south. Ana manages to work her way up, but gets caught up in a reverse triangle. Sarah ends up letting go, but ends up stuck against the pit on bottom herself. She ends up claiming a full guard off of this. With 8 seconds left, Sarah kicks over for an armbar and eats a slam for her efforts. At the start of round 3, Sarah jumps guard and switches to X-guard, failing to wrestle up and ending up in a headlock. They end up on the pit wall again with Sarah landing a nasty double leg, escaping the headlock and contorting herself onto Ana's back. From there, she switches to an armbar triangle but isn't able to get the finish, but nor does she have to eat another slam. A little bit later, as Anna is trying to come into pressure, Sarah hits a butterfly sweep, landing in a single leg X with Anna attacking the footlock. Sarah threatens taking the back off of this, Anna relents, and eventually leading to Sarah landing in a full leg drag pass to side control. With 1 minute left, Sarah goes from north-south to chasing the back. From here, she switches to chasing the arm to an armbar triangle. Sarah definitely earns her win to progress to the women's finals. And with that, we have the end of day 1 CJI 2. Now, as you've probably seen online, nobody was pleased with the amount of double eliminations from this day. Craig Jones saw a path to fix this.
Scared money don't make money, so today, if you get a submission and you're in the fucking team's event, you get 50,000 US dollars. Clearly, submitting someone for your team did not fucking work yesterday. If all you care about is money, then go fucking run a team. We've got $750,000 extra in the budget. 50,000 US dollars per scalp you take today. Guys, this is the stage. Put on a fucking show. Finish a bunch of people, and I better not see any questionable taps. If you get a submission, there's 50,000 on the line. Break that person's fucking leg. It's our last chance. It's my bank account's last chance.
Hey guys, if you have made it this far in the video, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and lets me know if you guys want more videos in this style. So, let's jump right into day 2 and see if this has made any difference. First up is Kanyan Duarte versus Wagner Rocha. The match starts with about a minute of standing before Duarte hits an arm drag on Wagner. Kanyan isn't fucking around today and quickly progresses the mount into a back chase. Duarte squeezes until Wagner damn near turns purple, but the tough motherfucker just does not tap. From there, Wagner gets Duarte off of him and is able to survive the round, starting today with another double elimination. Next up is Mika Galvalo versus Lucas Barbosa. It starts off slow with over a minute of standing until Lucas snatches a leg and takes Mika down. Mika lands in an arm attack, but Barbosa's arms just don't move when Mika pulls. Barbosa initiates a double unders pass, leading to a small scramble, which ends with both of them standing. At some point they clash heads, causing Mika's head to bleed. Mika gives no fucks and hastily jumps back in. A few minutes goes by of inaction, and the ref scolds them like a pissed off father. He really hates mercy grips. Lucas shoots, starting another dangerous scramble. Lucas ends up on top. With them being so close to the pit wall, Lucas gets stuck in Mika's close guard, where the ref gets really pissed off again. But instead of calling the stalling here, the ref waits for them to progress slightly, where Lucas was stuck defending Mika going under his legs. The ref penalizes Lucas, costing the match 1 point on the scoreboards, and Barbosa has to start in bottom half guard. Mika passes them out, misses a sub attempt, and the match ends. Double elimination. Andre is understandably pissed but sends out Diego Pato versus Luke Griffith. Diego pulls, and about a minute later manages to no-gi lasso sweep Luke. Luke tries to attack the legs from bottom, and Pato counters with a bolo. Pato comes up, and Luke wrestles up for a takedown. Diego goes for his own leg lock, but also gets punished, leading to Luke Griffith to take Pato's back with an arm trapped. Luke gets the first $50,000 bonus of tonight, with a rear naked choke. What's interesting on day 2 is the possibility of a chain reaction of taps. If Luke blew his load trying to get that first 50k, the next guy might blow his load trying to get the same. It definitely changes the dynamic of this tournament. Luke Griffith stays on the mat to fight a motivated Felipe Pena. Pena quickly gets in on a body lock, which leads to him chasing the back and mounting Luke within the first 30 seconds. I really hope Luke has something left in the tank, otherwise this could get ugly. While defending the head and arm choke and the threat of the back take, Luke manages to spin out, coming on top. He actually manages to get a back exposure on Pena, but just looks too tired and Pena comes up to north-south. Luke survives Pena cooking him for nearly 4 minutes before he finally finds a chance to once again spin on top. His freedom doesn't last long, unfortunately. Pena goes in for a leg attack, comes up, and continues his unrelenting assault. He wants that 50k, and with a minute 20 left, he gets the tap with an armbar. Felipe Pena stays to fight someone you'd never want to be tired for. Dorian Olivares. Felipe is moving slow and Dorian is bouncing around. That is not a good sign. Dorian snatches a leg and puts Pena down, starting his passing assault before Pena has even hit the mat. Dorian nearly gets the pass, but Felipe just bench presses him off. They both stand and Dorian is confident in how the match is going, doesn't waste any time in taking him down again. Felipe tries to wrestle up and gets rewarded with a front headlock, then to being pushed up to the pit wall where Dorian tries to climb up but ultimately just takes him down again. Still got 6 minutes left to this match. Dorian gets another pass from running off the pit wall, which leads to him mounting Pena. Dorian then goes for a headlock. It's so rare to see the legends in this setting. It's like you're in a gauntlet. With the insane stakes on the line, a single tap is worth a down payment on a house. Felipe lasts the round, leading to a double elimination. This lets our next fighters, the final 2, come out fresh for each other, which is fucking awesome because if Giancarlo is going to fight Ronaldo Jr., I want it no other way. Match starts with Giancarlo pushing forwards until Ronaldo takes the first shot. Jean shuts this down and just casually spikes Ronaldo to the mat. Ronaldo tries to switch into leg attacks, but again Giancarlo easily shuts it down. Ronaldo tries again, and Giancarlo steps through to start chasing the back. It comes close, but Ronaldo is able to recover. Ronaldo goes from a reap to a wrestle up, and is countered by a front headlock. This leads to Giancarlo running him into the pit walls, keeping him stuck on bottom. Once again, Ronaldo tries to wrestle up and is met with front headlocks. Giancarlo actually commits to the guillotine jump, but it leads to a scramble where Giancarlo has full guard with a massive amount of control. Keeping the shoulders pinched with his legs, he kicks over for an armbar, switches gears and kicks onto the back. After a few minutes, we see a switch to mount where Giancarlo kicks over for another armbar. He's rolling like his rents do, and good god, at this rate, it's getting fucking paid. He finished the armbar with 1 minute left, clearing New Wave to progress to the finals. On the other side of the semifinals is B Team versus the 4-man team, Misfits Australasia. First up, Lucas Kennard versus Chris Rojic. Both of them pull guard, but Lucas chooses to come up, and for that, we thank you. But not much happens in this match. I would say Lucas got the win off points as he was more active, but it was a constant stream of them standing up, pulling guard to attack the legs, defending, and repeat. It wasn't as bad as some of the ones in day one, but it ended in another double elimination. Up next is Kenta Iwamoto versus Nicky Rod. Kenta goes in for a shot, but is shut down with a front headlock. This doesn't go anywhere, and a solid 2 minutes goes by before Nicky Rod snatches a single that leads him to mounting Kenta. Kenta recovers and attacks a tight-looking ankle lock. Nicky managed to defend, but he didn't look like he was fucking around there. Nicky stands out a 50-50, catches Kenta in a front headlock, and then runs him into the pit walls, nearly chasing the back off of this. Kenta goes in for a double and puts Nicky down. Kenta displays some good passing, but ultimately gets flipped over by Nicky Rod. Nicky passing half guard to mount, gets a disgusting armbar. Kenta is insanely tough though, and just eats it. He gets out, and ends up shooting a double leg, getting a headlock to mount for his efforts. With 5 seconds left, Nicky dives on an anaconda, but time runs out. They are both eliminated. Once more, we have 2 fresh opponents, Ethan Krelestein versus Declan Moody. Following the trend, Moody shoves Ethan to the pit and pulls his legs out. With 7 minutes left, Declan finishes the knee slice through Ethan's guard. This is either going to be a very long round or a very short one. A minute goes by of cooking before Declan is able to work his way to mount. Ethan recovers but almost gets hammerlocked for it. Once more getting passed and smothered, this is a game of survival here. Declan tries for a cheeky wrist lock, but for $1 million, Ethan ain't tapping to that. The match continues in this vein until about a minute left where Declan goes for the legs. Ethan manages to make it through, so it's a double elimination. With 1 man left for Australasia, it's Fabricio Andre versus Victor Hugo. A double elimination would lead to a win for B Team. Victor spikes Fabricio to the mat and transitions to a rear body lock. Fabricio is able to fend it off for a while, but huge Hugo says fuck it, picks him up, and makes him eat a massive mat return. Fabricio pops back up, so Hugo runs him down to the pit wall. Instead of just taking it like the others, he stiff legs, causing a car crash style flip over the head from Hugo. What a unique way to reverse the match. They end up standing sometime later, but Fabricio tries to shoot from the mercy grips, and is run into the pit wall again. The pit giveth, the pit taketh. He's spiked down from a mile up. This leads to Victor getting on top, smashing his way to mount, and officially making his head and arm choke worth $50,000. Belil Itabari must be one tough dude, because he says, "Don't worry guys, I got this." He comes out to fight Victor Hugo, broken foot and all. Keeping his team in the tournament for another round, Belil once again slides in to start the match. With so much on the line, Victor was honestly super gentle with Belil. At around 4 minutes left, he takes the pass. He works his way to mount, and officially makes his head and arm choke not worth $50K, but $100,000. And with that, it's New Wave versus B Team in the finals. They were given a long break in between where they did the women's finals and Craig Jones' fun match. I'll leave Craig Jones' shenanigans till the end of the video, but for now we have Helena Cravar versus Sarah Gavallo for $100,000. And yes, they really did force Helena to put her hair up for this. In round 1, Helena is quick to pull guard, which sparks Sarah to start off her smash passes. Helena fends them off. It continues like this for a minute or so until Helena gets on the leg. Sarah is able to stay out of danger until she could backstep out. She clears her foot and goes back to smash passing until the time runs out. A little confusion happens where the refs didn't hear the timer go off. They end up going for an extra 9 seconds past the clock. Round 2 starts with Sarah going for a throw but ends up on bottom. Helena dives on the ankle again, and Sarah comes up and dives on the ankle herself. She bails, goes back to smash passing for a while, until Helena is able to hook her arm from Sarah's double unders. Sarah clears the arm, and the match continues like this until time runs out. The final round starts with Helena pulling and Sarah stepping over for this interesting position. Sarah manages to clear it, coming up into a double unders pass. Helena turtles, gets caught in a front headlock, but is able to defend the back chase from Sarah. From this, she manages to work herself into a deep ankle lock grip. She's able to transition the straight ankle lock into an Aoki lock to finish Sarah Gavallo. Helena Kavar becomes the first woman to win 100 grand in a BJJ competition. Moving on to the finals for B Team versus New Wave. We have Mika Galvalo versus Chris Wojcik. Chris pulls right away, and Mika appears to struggle with his guard, until at 3 minutes left, he catches Chris out of position. He dives on him for a front headlock, and Chris goes into turtle mode. Eventually he does manage to get free. Not much else happens until 5 seconds left, when Mika jumps back on an ankle lock attempt. Time runs out, and both are eliminated. Up next is Wagner Rocha versus Victor Hugo. They stand up for a couple minutes until Victor hits a foot trip into a headlock. He uses this to transition into a pass, and from there, into a full back chase on Wagner. Wagner does a good job defending, burning out the clock here until he gets free at under 2 minutes left in the match. Victor pulls guard, gets a leg entanglement, and belly downs on an ankle lock where it slips out. Wagner survives the rest of the match, which leads to another double elimination. Ethan Krellenstein versus Dorian Olivares. Ethan pulls and is almost immediately passed. Ethan recovers and manages to defend himself for a while. Dorian just does not stop when he's passing. To me, it's a question of how long can Ethan's cardio survive the constant attacks. At 5 minutes left, Dorian gets his pass aside, and eventually all the way to mount. Ethan Bear channels the inner fucking turtle bear because he's once again not in for a good time. Dorian manages to cook Ethan like he has in previous matches, until Ethan manages to recover his full guard. From here, Dorian stands, and Ethan underhooks his leg. He torques Dorian's leg enough, he nearly gets the back off of it, but he ends up maintaining his closed guard. Ethan keeps that guard until time runs out where they are both eliminated. Out comes Joseph Chen and Giancarlo. Giancarlo manhandles Joseph for the start of the match, but not quite being able to put him down fully. After a minute passes, he lands a slick leg trip and gets on top of Joseph. Joseph manages to tie up Giancarlo's legs for a bit, but Giancarlo slides across to hunt after Shen's foot. Giancarlo struggles to pass Joseph's guard until about 30 seconds left, where he kicks through to attack Shen's legs. As Joseph tries to come up, the ref gets on Giancarlo for kicking Joseph. Time runs out, and it's finally down to Luke Griffith versus Nicky Rod for $1 million. Luke tries to go for a slide by, Nick goes for a single, and neither go anywhere. At nearly half time left, Nick gets in on a body lock and is able to put Luke down. As they land, Nick passes all the way to side control. Luke goes for a cheeky buggy choke, but Nick just slips his head out. Nick slowly works his way to north-south, where he goes for a Darce. It looks like it gets tight, but isn't able to get the finish. He transitions to mount and fails to get the sub in time. Both are eliminated. We go to the judges for the final decision based off of the previous matches. What's insane is the goddamn matches came out to a draw. 47 points to 47 points. But if we remember that little nugget at the start, which has been confirmed to be in the rules the entire time, as stated before, if tied on the scoreboards, the team whose athlete won the final bout wins. If the final bout is a draw, which it could be technically considered one, the win goes to the team whose athlete was a non-draw bout, which you could technically say there wasn't one. The judges give B team the victory and the $1 million. This has sparked major controversy, as when the rules are broken down, they now feel vague for this situation. Nicky, quote unquote, won the final bout, but you could say it still ended in a draw. If by draw they mean double elimination, then we have a problem. If by points, then yeah, Nicky won, period. So to sidestep this shitstorm, Craig Jones said fuck money and also gave New Wave $1 million. So this tournament was now worth more than $2 million. How in the fuck are you gonna top that next year? And guys, I would love to cover Craig Jones' match with Sonnen since Gabe pulled out last second. They dogged on him the entire tournament. But this match was entertainment. If you can't hear the audio, then it's not worth covering. This was like if WWE met BJJ, except with a live match. At least I think it was. It was regardless a lot of fun, and you should go check it out. Overall, I think CJI 2 was awesome. There was a lot of unique situations, and fights you don't typically get to see elsewhere. There was overall strategy in play that tickles my tism brain. As I mentioned at the start, I hate watching BJJ. For some reason though, I was able to actually enjoy this. So if you guys made it to the end, you better fucking like and subscribe. I want to see those numbers go up after this. Anyways, that's all I have. Have a good one.
Bye, have a great time.